In this screencast, I'm going to be covering the Webform module. In our in-person training, I showed you a client website that had the Webform module, but it was Drupal 7, and your site is Drupal 8, and there are some pretty significant differences, enough that requires a separate screencast to show you guys how to use Webform in your website. So let's get started. First thing you want to do is underneath structure, there's two different ways to get to, or you'll find web forms at. You'll have content, add content, web forms, and this will create that page that contains an actual web form. This is a container. So kind of like the card page, this is a web form page. And the other area is underneath structure, we have web forms as well. This is like a card in relation to the cards in the card page. This is the actual forms themselves. So I'm going to click web forms, and it comes with one already created for you, and if you would like, you could use this, but I'm going to show you how to create a custom web form from scratch and then create that web form page to contain it. So the first thing we want to do is click create web form or add web form, and let's give it a title. This is just more for the back end, so I'm going to call this contact us, and then administrative description, the new web form, and category. If you want to use categories, that's fine, but typically those are ignored. And I'm going to click save. Okay, now it's moved us to the web form page, and this is somewhat similar to before where we were creating those elements in the form. So I'm going to click add element, and now we can pick, let's say this is going to be a simple form, so we just want a text form, so our text area for the name. So I'm going to click add element for text field, and let's just say this will be their name, and allowed number of values 1, and help text if you wanted help text, a description, more text. There's tons. So when I was showing you Drupal 7, this destroys the functionality for the Drupal 7. This is so much more robust, and that can be a good thing and that can be a daunting thing, because there are so many things that you can tweak to this, but most often you're just gonna go in and you're going to just add the name and then hit required, and then if you want to have a required message, you can. If not, it'll just alert them. And I'm gonna click save, but you can feel free to go in and check out all these other options. I'm going to now click add element. And let's do, what other options do we have? We want to do the email address, because that's always necessary, because you want to be able to reply to that person. And so you can do, there's different types, and these are like pre-fabbed types that you can use. So we got our email, so this would be one email form, and if you wanted to require them to confirm it, you could do that. Or if there's multiple email addresses that they need to enter, you could use this field. But this is just going to be a simple email address form. So email and then required, and that's it. Everything else, you can go in here and check it out. I'm going to click save. It's always kind of good to save. And then if you wanted to, this could be a multiple page form. So if this was like a really long form, you might want to break it up in separate pages. We're not going to be covering that, but you can explore those settings on your own. I'm going to do one more field, and this will be that big text area. And let's click add element under text area. So this is going to be their message, and we're going to require this as well. And so you can even count, like you can have a certain amount of characters required too. Okay, we saved it. So we have our name, our email address, and our message. Everything else is good. If I click source, it's just going to be like code, so that's not really going to be something that you're really most often going to need to go in and change. But the submit buttons, if you want to customize that, so instead of the submit, I think it's just submit. So if you want to say send, and if you had some CSS styles, you could change that. There's some other advanced features, but let's just keep it simple and click save. So it's going to be, the label is going to be send. I'm going to hit save elements again. And now if I go to settings, now I have my my form path. If you wanted to use Ajax, which is kind of nice, it will allow you to submit the form without page refresh. That's what that is. URL alias, webform URL alias, that can be changed here. So these are just a couple of the, I guess you could say, settings initially for the form. I'm going to go to form, and you can open and close them. The form, you can do other settings. You can disable the back button. You can warn users about unsaved change. Like, there are so many features. If you're going to be using the web form, I would set aside like a couple hours to go through all this. But once you go through this once, it'll be super easy. But there are so many settings. But typically, there's really not a ton you need to check. Like, these are just these edge case scenarios that people are going to want these, I want it to be closed and have a certain amount of submissions and all these other things. The web form module is so robust it can handle that. But these are just certain tabs that you can go through and customize, and we just don't have enough time to go through every single option. There's other screencasts online that will do a better job. But let's add our emails. So this is similar to Drupal 7, where we want to send this. We have to send this to someone. So let's do that. We want the to email address. We want to send that to the. Let's send it to a custom email address, and I'm going to send it to myself. And then if you wanted to CC someone, you could. If you want to blind carbon copy someone, you can do that as well. The from email address is going to be from, I'm going to have it selected, and by default it's smart enough that it kind of already picks it for you. And so I guess that wouldn't actually be correct. Oh no, this would be correct. So this is the site mail. You don't want to pick their email address. So this kind of can be confusing. So if you sent it from them, some email providers will think it's from spam, because typically your site email address is going to match your website address. So your URL. So mine is brent@variantstudios.com, and my site email is brent@variantstudios.com. And if I'm sending it to myself and it's some other domain, it's going to be, my email is going to trigger it as spam. So you want to keep those consistent. And you can always change these, like customize them. So the from name, we'll just have a test name just to customize it. The web form submission, this is just HTML, so you could customize how that is being delivered in your email. I'm going to keep that as the default. And conditions, yeah, everything's fine. The reply to is a good one, so I would change this though. This I would change to their email address. So when you click reply to, you want to reply to them. And that would be important to change. I'm going to click save. And like Drupal 7, Drupal 8, you can add more of these. You can just add more email, so it can send to multiple people in different fashions. So like you can, like for one person, you can set up so it sends to them in a different way. One good example of this is if you want to send that user who's fills out the form, a kind of what you could call like a receipt or confirmation email, you could do that here. So it sends an email to you as the site admin or this, the whoever's managing these form submissions, but you could also send them back saying like, hey, we got your email, we'll be in touch shortly, kind of thing. That's really a good kind of a good way to handle things. Everything else, so the CSS and JavaScript I would ignore. Access, if you wanted to restrict the submissions to certain roles, you could do so. But that's it. Let's just click view. And now you can see our web form. But we want to, so we've created a form. So if we go back to where we started in web forms, here's our contact us. This is the one we created. Now what we want to do is we want to create that web form page that's going to handle it. So I'm going to click add content, web form, and say contact us, and then this is the body text, and then from here I can pick my web form, so contact us, and then there's some settings, just really briefly. You can open, close, or schedule it. I'm just going to make it open, and then for the URL path, for the button on the home page, I'm pretty sure it's coded to contact. So I'm gonna, instead of contact us, so by default it would look like this: contact us. I can type contact us, and then I just want it contact. So keeping it simple, and I want to provide a menu link. Let's let me just double check and see what's on the. Okay, so it's on the footer, but I think it probably was just hard coded. But anyways, I'm gonna just add it to the home page, or sorry, the navigation on the information. So I'll be in the subnav. Okay, everything looks good. I'm gonna click save. Oh, so no need for. So the alias needs to start with a slash. So. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, it's already in use. So I've already created a contact, which is kind of nice. It doesn't allow me to override it. So let's just do, I'll just allow Drupal to create that alias for us. So it'll be contact us, which is nice. This is kind of a good example of showing you Drupal's trying to save you from yourself. So, so we have our page, and we have a form submission. And if I do a test, so I'm going to just fill this out. Testing my web form. I'm going to hit send. And it's going to, go to this confirmation page, and you can change this. This is in your this web form settings. You can change that. And, but everything looks, as it should. I'm going to pause the video, and I'm going to show you my email. Okay, so here's my local email, and if I, just for testing, if I click on this, I can see my form submission actually came through, and it shows my name, my email address, and my message. So just to show you everything's working as it should. And if I go back to our form and click results, this will show me my results as well, and this is, it's going to be a list of all of the form submissions, and if you wanted to, you can even download them and have it downloaded as a CSV. If you wanted to send this to someone and you didn't want to give them access, that would be a good example of why you would want to do that. And but yeah, that's how the web form works in Drupal 8. Thanks for watching.